your coffee, energy drink, tea, or anything else that is caffeinated, because you will want to stay focused and alert for the information I am about to share with you. Caffeine beverages are not favored by all, as I saw in the survey I shared with you. But as Nancy J. Selvidge puts it in her article, The Effects of Coffee on Health Outcome, worldwide, coffee is the second most consumed beverage after water. However, many of you may consume caffeine without knowing the effects that loom around it. The resources found of caffeine contain various studies proving effect myths wrong and some right. Concerns and desires are the ingredients within caffeine, and with recent research can reveal the positive and negative effects it contains. Before getting into the effects of caffeine, one should know the definition of caffeine. In the article, Caffeine, Medline Plus defines caffeine as a bitter substance that occurs naturally in more than 60 plants. Besides all natural, there is also such a thing as man-made caffeine for medicinal purposes and for some foods and drinks. With now knowing what caffeine is, you may be wondering, why does caffeine keep us alert and energized? Caitlin Dow clearly explains why caffeine tends to keep people up, with the help from Marilyn Cornelius in her article, The Best Part of Waking Up, Is Caffeine Helping or Harming Your Health? As stated on page 8, caffeine binds to adenosine receptors in the brain that prevents adenosine, which is a natural sedative, from attaching itself and making you feel drowsy. To better understand, adenosine is a natural inducer of sleep that builds up throughout the day as you are awake and fades away as you are asleep. And in this picture I took from Caitlin's article, you can see the caffeine is attached to these receptors. So adenosine cannot attach and therefore can't do its job correctly, which keeps us up longer. Now that we've dove into what caffeine is and how it works, let's look into the effects. Some negative effects listed in the article Caffeine could be stomach aches, heartburn, headaches, anxiety, dehydration, to name a few. These symptoms depend on how much coffee or caffeine you are consuming. The negative effects are then followed by the positive effects of caffeine. Caitlin Dow found that, depending on caffeine intake, type 2 diabetes and Parkinson's disease are linked to have a lower risk when drinking caffeine. Along with these diseases, diabetes, and various types of cancer, exercise is also positively affected by caffeine. Dow documented a study Mather Ganil created and found that caffeine improved an athlete's performance by 3%. Caffeine does not only boost your energy, but it also helps with lowering the risk of certain cancers, diseases, diabetes, and your overall athletic performance. Again, all of these depend on your caffeine intake, which we will talk about soon. Since most of you here that I saw through my survey would drink coffee and or energy drinks, then this next slide will be just as insightful as what you have learned so far. C. Musgrove discusses some of the advantageous effects coffee provides in his article, Coffee, The Truth About the Bean. With the research shown, you can find that coffee has little to no relationship with the causes of cancer. Coffee surprisingly tends to be rather protective because of the antioxidants it contains from being a plant food. Another benefit of drinking coffee, found in the article, Why Coffee Perks People Up, written by the Harvard Mental Health Letter, was the results shown of a lower risk of depression after many studies. As the Harvard Mental Health Letter gathered, women who drank the most caffeinated coffees per day were 20% less likely to develop depression than women who drank the least. This study, of course, does not prove whether or not coffee prevents depression. On the other hand, Tufts University Health and Nutrition Letter insists in the article, coffee is good for you, but it might not be the caffeine. That caffeine in coffee is not what is actually benefiting for the body, but rather it's the ingredients it contains. Aside from coffee, energy drinks are another caffeinated beverage. Although these drinks can improve alertness and athletic performance, the article Caffeine goes into depth as to why they are dangerous. Supported in the article, but what we do know is that energy drinks can be dangerous because they have large amounts of caffeine. And since they have lots of sugar, they can contribute to weight gain or worsen diabetes. The mix of energy drinks and alcohol is also discussed in this source because young people often do mix the two together without considering the consequences. Medline Plus bluntly states, caffeine can interfere with your ability to recognize how drunk you are, which can lead you to drink more. This finding of energy drinks negatively expresses the effects of caffeine. These effects typically last up to 4 to 6 hours, so cautions and suggestions are made available to the public. Many sources I found suggested that the healthy amount of coffee people should consume each day should be 2 to 5 cups, specifically found in the effects of coffee consumption on health outcomes. Consuming that amount each day could lower the risk of cardiovascular disease, cancers, and other diseases. Why coffee perks people up warns readers, in excess, caffeine may cause jitteriness and worsen anxiety, especially in people who are already stressed and or sensitive to caffeine's effects. These caution warnings were mentioned in various other sources as well. This article also addresses the link between caffeine and suicide. If someone consumes 8 or more cups of coffee each day, they are more likely to commit suicide if they already have those existing thoughts, or they could overdose on caffeine. C. Musgrove also warns pregnant women in his article, suggesting that they should not consume more than 300 milligrams of caffeine each day, and that caffeine is not only found in coffee, but also the following: tea, chocolate, energy drinks, and some medicines. With the secret ingredients being revealed, you all now know the effects of caffeine, what caffeine is and how it works, and the recommendations and warnings that come along with it. With the information I shared today, maybe next time you will think twice about taking another sip of your caffeinated beverage, or start thinking about drinking those caffeinated drinks. Either way, before the reality of these effects and life hit you, let your coffee kick in first. Thank you for listening to my speech.